to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. So at one time in my life I did some red cell stuff, and basically that is playing the role of the bad guy. And typically that bad guy was a terrorist, but sometimes we portrayed foreign special operations forces or guerrillas, you know, on the other side. The bad guerrillas, not our guerrillas. And it was interesting, and these consultations, exercises, if you will, took the form of just discussion around a table, in some cases to having to write papers with other people, to war games on tabletop, it's actually computers, war games, to actual exercises where we, you know, got to dress up and go play the bad guy. The interesting thing is we almost always won. The bad guys, right? The red cell. Not because I'm some superhero, but because you get to kind of take the action first, right? And you get to set the conditions, and you're not as bound by the rules. The only times we didn't win is when they constrained the rules so much that they would win, and it was a farce, and that happens too. And throughout the years, my wife and kids have heard me say, my friends have heard me say, I'm glad I'm on our side, right? I just look at things differently, and I see how bad guys could mess us up. When the Ferguson riots were happening, there was a lot I didn't tell y'all because I just don't feel like I need to talk about some things. But I talked to my close circle of friends, my family, and one of the things I said was, it is just a matter of time before snipers get on buildings behind the protesters and shoot the cops. It's too easy. That's like ducks in a barrel. And so, bam, we've seen that happen, right? There's more coming. I believe the people who did this were pretty smart. I've read a lot of things. I've heard people say that they were trying to provoke a response from the police to shoot into the crowd. That is a technique. It is certainly a technique that unconventional warriors use, that guerrillas use. And basically that technique goes something like this. You create chaos, then you get the powers that be, the people that are in power that you're trying to get out of power, to overreact, and then that gets more people to join your side. You know, in Vietnam, you get the American soldiers, you shoot one sniper from a hut, a grass hut, pow, 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 and the American infantry company smokes the village and kills 50 people. They just created guerrillas out of all those people's families, so it's a net win for the guerrillas. That kind of thing. Another technique which is related is you keep doing things that create misery for the people, like you blow up the water distribution plant or the electrical plant or things like that. And so now the people have no water and the people have no electricity. And you would think that would work against the guerrillas because the guerrillas just made my life harder. But what they then do is follow that up with psyops, with political agitation. And they say, see, the government can't protect you from us, but we can protect you from us. And it's kind of like the mafia thing, right? Buy some insurance from me and your place won't burn down. And it works. It's human nature. I do not believe that the snipers that shot at the police in Dallas were intending at this time for the police to shoot back into the Black Lives Matter crowd. But that's coming. That's coming, because you have to look at how this is going to evolve. What we're going to see, and if we see more of these, we may or we may not, but if we see more incidents similar to this, where they're shooting cops, You're going to see cops starting to become paramilitary police forces, driving around in those MRAPs they're all getting with squads of cops in body armor, and all of a sudden they start looking like infantrymen, and they start acting like infantrymen. And who benefits from that? So you could see a paramilitarization of the police, and then what you'll probably see is sniper type things like we just saw. And then it could either be the cops overreact, and if they don't do it, some people dressed up like cops shooting at the crowd and then just disappearing into chaos, which will then agitate the people. Who's behind it all? You know, you see people say, I get it on my videos, like the Orlando nightclub shooting Pulse. It was a false flag, nobody was killed. Crisis actors. You're an idiot. If you're one of the people that said that, you're an idiot. And here's why. A false flag doesn't mean nobody was killed. A false flag just means the people who are blamed for doing the act aren't the people who did it. Example, what do they say now? I haven't been able to catch up news this morning yet. 2 black militants they think were the snipers. You know, they had a Facebook page and yada yada. So these are angry black men who don't like cops in particular and white people in general, right? Okay, chances are good. I would say that's probably close to the truth. Chances are also decent that they were pawns to one way or another, or outright actors of the state. There are black people who are on the side of the state, right? The powers that be, who can dress up like anybody else and go out there and shoot people. And then what happens? Ba-doom, 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 what follows? But people were killed, and people were killed at Pulse. When the operation never happened at all, that's called a pseudo-operation. If you want to read about that, read about the Rhodesian SAS. They were pretty good at that kind of stuff. Another talk for another time. But everyone's being played to one degree or another. You know, let's get black people to take up arms and, you know, kill cops. There are bad cops out there. There are some unrighteous shoots. I would like to see what's coming out of the shooting where the 2 cops tackled that guy and then shot him because he had a gun in his pocket. I have a gun in my pocket. You gonna shoot me? They said they turned it over to the FBI to investigate, right? I used to think that's a good thing. I trust the FBI. I did. I worked with the FBI a lot. Joint terrorism task forces all over the place. Worked with a lot of FBI agents. Worked with high-level FBI people. Good, honorable men and women, for the most part. Don't trust them. Not after this Hillary thing. Rotten to the core. If you're a good FBI agent, you should quit. You should. If you're a good Army officer, you should quit. Transgenders. Another topic. Whatever. I don't think that there's necessarily going to be a good outcome for that. You can't trust the FBI anymore. You can't trust them to be above the politics and do the right thing. Was that guy just killed by a scared cop? Miscommunication? He's got a gun! Gun! Because he feels the gun in his pocket and the other cop shoots him? Maybe. Start shooting enough people, people start shooting back. You know, there's some, and I'm not a police science guy, but there's some figure for you need 1 cop per X thousand citizens in a generally law-abiding scenario. Too many more of these bad shootings by cops, and what you're going to see happen is cops rolling around the ground with some perpetrator who might even be a real perpetrator, and some bystander is going to come up behind him and cap him, the cop, and run away, and nobody's going to see nothing. It's going to be guerrilla warfare. It's going to be like Fallujah. Do you want that? You don't want that. I'm telling you, you don't want that. I laugh at black people who say they want a race war. Are you kidding me? Blacks make up, what, 13% of the U.S. population, and they want a race war? Don't think so. You know, historically, white people have killed more people than anybody else, I think. We don't want a race war in this country. We don't want a civil war in this country. Be careful. Stuff's fixing to get real. It got real for a whole bunch of people yesterday. One thing I noticed in Ferguson, I was just putting this out in my pistol class. I guess I'll go here. Heretofore, mostly, police officers are used to, freeze, police! And at best, people quake in fear, and sometimes get shot anyway. At other times, most times, maybe in some places, they run. And if they shoot at all, it's like, that's the bad guys running away, right? So the cops, you know, badge, gun, radio, I'm invincible. It freaks cops out when somebody takes a gun and starts coming at them, shooting. They're not wired for that. They're not trained for that like soldiers are. Soldiers are trained to close with and destroy the enemy. You know, a soldier sees another soldier running at him with a bayonet and it just fires him up. Ah! Cops see somebody running at him with a Glock and he's like, oh my God, he's trying to kill me. That'll change. Cops start getting shot in large numbers, that'll change. Human nature, right? You gotta stay alive, man. Cops, you need to police your own. Bad cops, you need to get rid of them. If you're a cop in a lot of locations, I'd consider a new line of work. Go move out to the county. Come out to this county and be a deputy. People like the deputies out here. The deputies like the people. It's cool. You're not dealing with racial problems and strife and bad cops, cops on the take. It's people, man. Now watch, there's some deputy out there going, things you don't know. I don't think so. Be careful, people. You better keep your wits about you. Oh, and guns. Let's talk about open carry, shall we? So here's a brother walking through the crowd with a, looks like an AR-15 type rifle, M forgery. Maybe was an airsoft, as some of the reports are. Totally innocent. Everybody on the internet, find this man, get this man. I would not want to be that brother. I think he called in, turned himself in, right? Good thing, because he had a target on him. He did to himself no good. I bet you he doesn't do it again. And if you're going to be a guerrilla, you don't walk around with your guns hanging out. Guns are going to go away. They're going to try and take them. This was not a false flag. Could have been a pseudo operation. I don't think so, though. I think it probably was some people just ticked off. Not going to take it anymore. Police are very vulnerable. I think they figured that out in Dallas last night. If this goes elsewhere to other cities, life as we know it is going to change. And that won't be a good thing for anybody. Stay alert. Get your stuff in house. Get your house in order. Get your stuff gathered together. It's fixing to get real.